me and Kriss are here in New York. We've got the Panasonic G9 and a GH5S that Kriss is filming with now, and we've been invited by Panasonic to take photos at the Formula E this weekend, which is running in Brooklyn. Now we're going to be there on Friday and Saturday, but today is Thursday and we've got a bit of a chance to have a look around. It's both of our first times in New York, so we're going to have an explore, have a walk around. And we're excited to have these cameras because it gives us a little bit more option of sharing lenses. We don't have to carry huge bags or anything like that, and it was really easy to get them over here on the plane. So we're going to have a look around. We started down here by the Brooklyn Bridge and we're going to make our way up through Manhattan. So I'm just swapping from the 12 to 35 2.8 to the 8 to 18 because this bit here is such a nice landscape. I've got the Brooklyn Bridge just coming at this side of the image and I can just fit in the Statue of Liberty. It's not the best shot, but it's just a fun snap really, just to prove I've seen all of it. Right, I've just put the G9 into high resolution mode. Now this basically means that it will shift the sensor just 1 pixel left, right, up, down, so that it creates a higher resolution image. Now it's 20.3 megapixels, the G9, and this, if you put it in the extra large mode, creates a file that's 80 megapixels. So it's a huge increase, and there should be a massive increase in detail. Now I really wanted to try this on the skyline. Realistically, you should do it in an area where there's no movement, and we have all of this water here, which obviously creates a lot of movement. But the bit I'm really interested in is the skyline, so I don't mind if the water doesn't come out quite right. What I care about is looking at how detailed I can look at some of these buildings across.
Here you can see the images side by side, and it's clear high resolution mode makes a big difference to the clarity within those images. After being recommended some places to eat on our flight over by a very friendly lady from uptown Manhattan, we decided to explore by food, trying to find different stands, diners, cafes and cuisines to guide us through the sights and streets of Manhattan. Now maybe this is something you want to try if you go travelling yourself, but tailor it to what you like.
So we're just walking onto the Brooklyn Bridge now. It is so hot. But it's also nice that the pavement goes straight down the middle, so photographically it's much better and easier to get a nice shot rather than if we were at the edges of the road sort of hanging over. It's so nice here. It feels quite busy, which is slightly annoying. I'd quite like to come back here late at night when it's not as busy. And you have to watch out when you're doing this sort of thing that you don't get run over by a bike, which I've nearly done a couple of times. But to see the skyline like this is awesome, especially the side over here that we couldn't see down by the park's really cool. With the G9 shooting 4:3 ratio, it's quite nice having the super wide on because it just means when I get it in post I can just crop it down to sort of the shape I want rather than, because I prefer like 3:2, and if you set 3:2 on this obviously you get some loss of megapixels, so I'll shoot in 4:3 and then I can cut it down afterwards.
From the park we walked across the stunning Brooklyn Bridge into Lower Manhattan. We made our way up through Chinatown to a tiny restaurant which we've been recommended, and apparently they do the best soup dumplings.
So we've ordered the pork dumplings, and so far it's going really well. I don't eat a lot of Chinese food, Kriss does, so I've managed to burn myself on the complimentary teapot and knock over a can of Sprite all over the restaurant. So I'm looking forward to dumplings. I feel like it can only go up from here. I'm just going to grab this one. Oh, I like the way it feels like it's slightly alive.
Although incredibly delicious, these were some of the ugliest subjects I have ever attempted to photograph, especially in such poor light. This is where you need a real food photographer who can bring out the beauty in all things foodie.
Big one. We've just found some hot mini cakes, which we are definitely going to get because they are only $1.25. So we're going to grab some of them.
What do you think they are?
From the smell, I'm hoping they're going to be donutty / pancakey, but we will see. I'll take a picture. I'll eat them first, to be honest. I think I'm just going to shove them down.
You're going to eat them first and take a picture? That's going to be interesting.
Cut that bit out. Hey, yeah, just get one. Thank you.
With the G9's autofocus working in a super quick 0.04 seconds with 225 AF areas, you can capture all of those moments that make your friends look the most flattering. Lower Manhattan is an amazing place. There's a total change in the feel, culture, colours and buildings around every couple of blocks, and we really noticed it when we headed from Chinatown into Little Italy.
We're now in Little Italy in a little restaurant called Piccolo Buffalo. It's got amazing reviews again, so we thought we'd try this place out, get a couple of images of the food. Obviously, we're getting a pizza, because how can you not? Little Italy. Gonna try that out and basically cool down for a bit with some ice water. That's the main reason for stopping now at this point. I would say if you're gonna do food photography, I'm not a food photographer, but I think for me it's all about making it look like when you're there and you are hungry and you want it. I think if you can make a camera evoke that out of an image, that's what you want to do with food photography.
Here, using the 8-18mm, I can fit in the whole pizza, although I did decide to crop the shot down, but I preferred the idea of doing something a little closer. So I put on the 12-35 so I could get these closer shots with the background thrown right out.
Unless you're doing street photography, it's quite hard on some of these streets to find a good composition just because there's so many people. But it's good to try and look around, because there's a puddle here which I've avoided stepping in, but it does have a great reflection of the really cool fire escapes on the building opposite. So I'm just going to grab that. There's been so much graffiti around here, and a lot of it is just squiggles, but some of it's really, really cool artwork, so I've been trying to capture it as much as we can as we go around the cities. It's really good. Right, well, we just grabbed the subway up from Little Italy, and we're now at Grand Central Station, so I can't wait for this. I've been really looking forward to looking around here. That is mad, isn't it? Wow, look at that. I didn't expect the ceiling to be turquoise for some reason. I get the train to London Bridge every day. It does not compare. This is far superior. And also it's amazing the amount of people who are clearly tourists and who are taking big group shots, and then the amount of people who are clearly just going to and from work, and they do not like the people getting in the way at all. The light is quite low in here. It's actually a lot lower than I was expecting it to be. So I've ramped up the ISO quite a bit. It's only on 1600 at the moment. It seems to be performing quite well. I found that 3200 did seem to still be okay. 6400 pushing it slightly, but still usable, especially if you're just going on an adventure and doing some traveling. You want to capture the image, and the image is more important than the noise that's in it.
The space is breathtaking, but the movement is part of its charm, and I really wanted to capture that by doing some long exposures of the space.
We just stumbled across a baseball match in the middle of Central Park, so we thought we'd stop and try and get a couple of shots. Unfortunately, we are shooting straight into the sun. But on the plus side, I can put the shutter speed at whatever I want, because obviously the G9 has an electronic shutter, so I can stop it up really high. I don't really even need to use it that high. I'm just sort of silhouetting the players and the cage there. We've changed positions, so we're not directly in front of the sun. So we've got some harsh shadows here, but we can see much more of the game. And it's quite nice here because I'm using a really wide lens, so we're getting some of the cityscape that's over there, some of the big buildings, get all the green, get the caging here, but also you can just see a little bit of action from the guys as well. So you can see when he's pitching, when they're throwing the ball around, so you can just see a little bit of action, which is quite nice. I think it brings the landscape together a little bit more, sort of brings the people into it a little bit more.
After our bike ride, we headed down towards the Rockefeller Center, and as the sun was dropping lower in the sky, I was able to grab this image. Now, I tried a few different compositions here because I really wanted that golden light reflecting through the buildings, the neon colours of the Radio City sign, and a yellow taxi just coming around the corner to try and create that ultimate New York look.
I'm using the autofocus point selector. I was using it like this to start off with. Now I've put it up like this. It's really nice that they've put the joystick on the battery grip as well, so you still have that control, which is really nice because on a lot of battery grips you don't have that sort of functionality, whereas on this one you do. So it just means I have sort of the same amount of control when I turn it, which is really nice. We're now in Times Square, which is awesomely cool. I keep getting distracted by all the bright lights that are just flashing around me. We went past Rockefeller on the way here as well. We were going to try and go up there for sunset, but but unfortunately the line was like super long. We just weren't going to make it in time for the sun going down, so we thought we'll do that another night, come straight down to Times Square and check out as we lose the light here and it starts being lit by all these sort of neon fluorescent lights, just see what the G9 and the GH5S that we're filming with now can do in such an odd lighting environment, because a lot of it will be very dark, but a lot of it will be hugely bright. So I'll be interested to see what the dynamic range is like on both cameras.
The light dimmed and finally went out in Times Square, which gave us some beautiful colours to work with. And it just got busier as the night went on. In the morning, we knew we'd be heading over to Red Hook in Brooklyn to start our Formula E journey. So we decided to head home ready for an early start. To see us get trackside with Formula E, check out part 2.